Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Body Podcast. This is Sarah Haas. I am so glad you're here. And I am also so excited. We have a special guest today. Nancy Okeefe is here with us. She is a human design specialist and an intuitive coach. So she has a lot of great information to share with us on how human design can help you improve your health and improve your entire life. So she's going to explain exactly what that is and how we can utilize it to be our healthiest. So Nancy, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here.
So first of all, I introduced you as a human design specialist, and I am sure that a lot of people don't exactly know what that is. So if you could tell us just a little bit about what that is and what you do.
Sure. Human design is reasonably new. It came into being in 1987, and it's a personality assessment, really. And I have become certified to understand human design and read your body graph so that we can get at the essence of you. Human design is like an energetic blueprint. It describes who you are and how you're wired to operate in the world at your highest potential, and a lot about your life purpose and what you came here to do and the skills and talents you have to support you in that. So I do readings, and I also run courses so people can understand their human design, because I think it's so important to remember who you truly are.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of us are searching for that. We don't know who we truly are. And I know as women, we're sort of told by society who we should be and, check off these boxes and here's the careers that you're good at. And I love that you help us sort of tune in to like, what is your essence so that you can figure out what your life's purpose is.
Right. I mean, as women, think about the fashion industry. We're even told what to wear. You know, no woman would have ever designed 4-inch high heel shoes with pointed toes
Or pantyhose or
or
bras.
pantyhose, right? So, we are really sort of suffering from what's called conditioning, how we're told to act, how we're told to do things, how we're told to be. And, some of it's great advice, but some of it's just not, it doesn't fit you because everyone is unique. One of the things that human design teaches us is that we are each unique. We're divinely designed. There are no two of us that are exactly the same. So when we, subscribe to these like sort of cookie cutter ideas about things, we're really doing ourselves a disservice, and we're doing others a disservice because we're not putting our real, true, authentic, great, juicy selves out there. We're hiding some of who we are because it's not the accepted way to be. And, back in the day, way back in the beginning of time, it was important that you fit into your tribe. It was life or death. If you didn't have a tribe and they didn't accept you, maybe you didn't eat, or maybe you didn't have protection from wild animals or warring other, tribes. So that need to be accepted and to be included is very, very deeply ingrained in ourselves and who we are. So there's a lot of pressure to conform, and it's exhausting, frankly. It just really tires people out. And when you go through most of your life conforming to somebody else's idea of how you should be and what you should do, many women burn out. They simply burn out. They run out of energy.
And not only
And
that,
it
we're not putting out there into the world what our gifts are. And that
exactly
we're not fulfilling our life's purpose if we're not using our gifts, if we're
right.
tamping down those gifts and, trying to fit in and trying to be
Right.
what we think we should be in society.
It's so important. I mean, it really will. When I say you can burn out, I mean, you can burn out your thyroid, you can burn out your adrenals, you can, compromise your immune system. There's a lot of healthy living involved in being who you truly are and accepting yourself So the work that I do is about bringing awareness to people around that. Um, you know, you haven't forgotten who you are, you've just pushed it in the background, and sometimes it takes a little remembering. And that's one of the things about a human design reading, is that we can, bring all that juicy goodness forward so you can remember. One of the words I get from people that have readings is validation. It really validated for me who I am, and why I feel this way. And that awareness is the first step in making any changes in your life. So I love it when I do a reading and I watch the light bulbs go off on the top of people's heads, and they're like, oh, that's why this happened. That's why my life went in this direction. And you can really see it all in everybody's chart. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, and I have to say that I've experienced one of your readings and you were spot on. And what you said about, well, this validates. I started like after we talked and I reviewed the recording and took some notes and really started thinking about, okay, where am I doing things that don't really fit me and having to force it? And what things am I doing that really flow and that just
Exactly.
give me energy and pump me up? Because that's when I can serve the best.
Exactly. Flow is a great word. Being in the flow. It's like the jet stream. When an airplane gets in the jet stream, it just kind of picks it up and takes it along, and it's effortless. They don't use as much fuel, and that's really what it's like. It's effortless. So I have a little exercise your listeners could do, if you wouldn't mind if I shared it.
Oh, yeah. I
It
love action steps.
it's really simple. So for those listening, get a pen and paper and take the pen and put it in your non-dominant hand, the one you don't normally write with, and then sign your name. And if you're driving or something and you can't do it right now, just this is simple, you can do it later. When you sign your name like that, most times people will say to me, oh, that looks awful. It feels terrible. It's so awkward. I have to really think about it. Now, if you take the pen and put it in your dominant writing hand and sign your name, people will say things like, oh, that was easy. It was effortless. I didn't even have to uh, look at it or think about it. It comes out perfect every time. And that's really the difference between living your human design and fighting against your human design. It's just that uncomfortable, takes more energy, doesn't feel so good way of living. And you don't have to do that. And it's simple little tweaks to make to get back in the flow. It's not like you have to make huge life changes. Um, for example, your career, you can live out your life purpose in any number of careers. It's really more about a way of being, not what you're doing. So sometimes people have said things to me like, oh, I have to change jobs. Well, no, you don't. You just have to get in alignment with who you truly are and bring that juiciness forward. Guaranteed, in whatever job you're in, it's going to make your performance better. It's going to make you feel more at ease and more comfortable with what you do. And you're probably going to enjoy it more because you're being who you are.
And I
So
also believe
it,
in synchronicity in the universe. And so you start with yourself. You start with, bettering yourself and getting in tune with yourself and learning who you are and being mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy. And then opportunities come. And that might be in the form of a new job offer, or maybe not. It could be a relationship, it could be a move, it could be anything. But I think once you change, the energy that you're putting out changes and the things that come into your life change.
Absolutely. And there's a large part of human design that talks about your strategy, how you're meant to respond in the world to things that come your way. There's a big piece of it around decision making, because all of our lives we've been taught how to make decisions, and it's really not correct. We've been told to be logical, to think it through, to weigh the pros and cons. Actually, to make a correct decision that's aligned with who you are, it's about feeling into the decision and finding out in other parts of your body, depending on your energy type, whether it's the right choice for you. And you will actually feel it. But some of us, that's kind of been numbed down because we've been, especially if you've gone to higher education, they do a lot of work on critical thinking. And it takes us away from our core decision-making center, which helps us to make aligned choices for us.
Our society is largely based on a male model because
Absolutely.
over history, the males have been the leaders, the ones in charge. And so society has kind of fallen into place behind that, kind of like, okay, he did this, this, and this, and was a success. So I should follow
Yeah.
and do this, this, and this. And women's intuition and our femininity has been
Mhm.
sort of discounted
Yeah.
as, that's moody, that's hormonal, that's, overreacting or
Oh,
whatever.
yes.
And so we've sort of want to hide that. And really, if we want to change the world, if we want to change the way society thinks and views, we have to tap into that and lean into it because a lot of women are out there doing it and it's working and people are starting to
Yes.
see, oh, okay, there are other ways of going about things. And, we need more of a balance in the world. There's the yin and there's the yang. And
Yeah,
we've been way
exactly.
too yang for way too long. And we need to balance it out with some yin.
So true. And, I'm sorry, guys. I know there probably are not a lot of male listeners on your podcast, but the guys are suffering too. They're conforming to how somebody defined success. Um, and there are a lot of men out there that have intuition and have, we all have femininity and masculinity, and they're not in balance either. Now they tend to, function a little easier because they're used to being told that this is the way to do it. Their father did it that way. Their father's father. Um, but yeah, there's an awakening happening in the world around this, and it's important because we all need to change to make the world the better place it can be. And I really feel like human design is the first step. You can't do any changes or make any effective decisions about your life or what you want to do going forward if you're not really clear on who you are, what your purpose is, what skills and talents you brought with you to live out and fulfill that purpose, and how you're here to help the world and navigate it. It's so fascinating. I just love it.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I know when you did my reading, you told me a lot about, what my propensities are and where my strengths are and what things I really shouldn't be doing. But one of the things that you really taught me was how to tap in to those answers, how to tap into when I'm in a situation, because I'm sure like many, many other people, like you said, we're in our heads, we're trying to think
Mhm.
logically, we're making the pros and the cons. And when I do that, I just start spinning out. I just
Yeah,
get caught in this circular pattern where I can't get out and I can't figure out what's the right way. And so
right.
you taught me how my way of tapping into my intuition is, but different people have different methods
Exactly.
of finding that answer. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, we all have an energy type. And even though there are only 5 energy types, when you pair them up with the 9 centers, the 64 gates and channels, and all the other parts of the chart, it becomes an infinite situation where there can be just an infinite number of people. And we don't like to pigeonhole people, but it helps in understanding yourself to know that you're a generator or a projector or one of the other types. And each of the types has a strategy and they have a decision making center. Um, and if you understand just those 3 pieces, frankly, you really understand a lot about yourself, not only about yourself, but the people that you surround yourself with. It's great for enhancing a relationship with a partner or with your children, just to get that understanding about how they're wired so that you can be serving them in your parenting. I have a lot of clients who use it for that. And it's a great way to get an understanding. In most cases, your children are not like you energetically. They're like their grandparents. Um,
Oh,
Now
that's
think about
interesting.
how you feel about your mom. Sometimes she gets under your skin, right? All mothers and daughters have that dynamic.
I'm
And
sure
so
my
now
daughter would agree.
yeah, and your children are now that on the other side of the, it's the same thing. They have those same things that probably annoyed you about your mother. So learning how to navigate that and to work with that energy type is just so eye-opening. I give you a little story. My boyfriend is what's called a manifesting generator. They have very fast energy. No one in the universe can keep up with a manifesting generator. And I'm a generator. I don't have very fast energy. But every time we are going to go somewhere, and we've been together 20 years, so there would be an argument because I always felt rushed. You know, if it was time to go, he'd be ready 30 minutes ahead of time and out in the car sitting waiting for me. And I felt really rushed. My lipstick would come out crooked and I'd be like, not my best self. And once I got into human design and I realized just that we're different energy types and how operates and how I operate, I realized, well, this isn't him trying to annoy me. This is just who he is. He's fast. So it's okay if he goes and sits out in the car 20 minutes before I'm ready. That doesn't bother me anymore. That's what he needs to do, then that's good.
That's awesome because then
But
it can create peace in relationships and
absolutely.
understanding.
So that little bit of bickering that would happen every time we went out has stopped. And it's just, we laugh about it now, but
And I
just
like
little,
how your stress level goes down once you have that
absolutely.
understanding and once you're not feeling rushed. You're just thinking, well, that's how he is. He wants to be ready. He wants to wait in the car. That's not how I am. I still have 30 minutes. And so you can
And that's
calm your
okay.
nervous system because I know how that feels to be stressed and to be in a hurry. And, you alluded earlier to it's exhausting to try to be in a way that you are not.
Right.
And that affects your overall health, your adrenals. Every emotion we have has an effect on our body. We have a
Absolutely.
physiological response, increased heart rate, sweating, whatever. When you're anxious or when you're upset, different things happen
Right.
in your body and can eventually lead to illness. So I just think it's awesome that what you do can actually improve your health.
Yes. It's really funny. And every energy that you have in your chart has what I call a light side and a shadow side. So if you have an energy and you're not living in the light side of it, you may be exhausting yourself that way too. Your frequency isn't as high as it could be, and that can impact you in a lot of ways. It can impact what kind of people you attract into your life. It can impact your ability to sustain something that you decide to do. Like, let's say, just say you decide to get on an exercise program or something, lose a few pounds. If you are not living in the highest expression of your energies around that, what will end up happening is you'll sabotage yourself. It just won't work out for you. So, being able to raise your frequency and be the best self you can be is huge in helping you get confidence and helping you sustain things, have perseverance, be in a position to accomplish your goals easy peasy. It just makes a huge impact on you as a person.
And it makes an impact on people around you because when you
Yes.
live authentically and you sort of buck the system and say, you know what, that part of it doesn't work for me. This is who I am. That just has a ripple effect. And it helps other people say, oh, okay, she's not going with the status quo. So, and that's pretty cool. She's thriving. So maybe I don't have to either.
Yeah. And the fun part about it is I'm older and I'm actually quite a bit older, but it took me a long time to feel okay about myself and not worry about what everybody else thought and not, compare myself to others and had I known about human design sooner, I wouldn't have had to wait so long to be myself and feel okay about it, to feel great about it. Because
And
I've
that's
always
something we're
been,
all working for. That's
yes.
a lifetime growth. That's something that we're always working on.
And it really just gives you a sort of a head start to understand that. And then, the other piece of it is to incorporate a lot of this into your life. And that's where my coaching comes in because It's one thing to get a reading, it's great information. We record it. You can listen to it a million times if you want to. But then there are some action steps you have to take to actually make some changes. And you have to be gut honest with yourself about where you're settling or where you're, conforming and you don't really want to. And you have to be willing to make those changes and buck the status quo, which isn't always an easy thing for people to do. And sometimes it's not possible in a job, as an example. If this is the culture in the job and that's the way people do things, and it just goes against you in every possible way, treads on your values or whatever, then maybe you need to think about changing companies or changing jobs, or in some cases, maybe even changing industries. But all of the changes are not drastic. Most of them are just small, little bite sized, very manageable things you can do to really get yourself in the ease and flow of life.
And I always say that any big change you need to make or you want to make is so much easier if you have support and if you have a guide, if you have some kind of coach. I know I always have someone helping me, whether that's a professional therapist or some kind of coach, or a life coach, whatever, because we're all growing forever and changing and learning. We're going to be learning until the day we die.
Yes.
And
Yes.
everybody has certain gifts that they can share with others, and they can see things about you that you can't see yourself. And like you said, making even just a tiny change can change your whole trajectory.
Yes. Yes. It's almost like giving yourself permission to be yourself. Um, which I worked with a coach one time, and she actually had permission slips printed, and she gave everybody a permission slip, and we had to write it out, giving ourselves permission to do whatever we were doing at that moment in time. But I never forgot that. It was such a cool little tool because sometimes we just really need to give ourselves permission.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it can be hard. It can be
it
hard.
can be
Getting
very
outside your comfort zone can be really hard. So I
hard.
know you mentioned a lot of things about human design that we don't have time to discuss in this short amount of time. And I know that you've piqued a lot of people's curiosity. So if somebody wants to read more about you and more about human design, can you tell us where they can find you?
Yes, if you go out to my website, which is nancyokeefecoaching.com, nancyokeefecoaching.com. On the homepage, if you scroll down, there's a great little ebook that's free, and it's called The Three Sacred Gifts You Can Find in Your Human Design Chart. It's like a little primer. It'll give you sort of an introduction to human design. The three things we talked about today: your energy type, your strategy, and your decision making authority. So that would be a great thing to do. There's also a few other pages on the website that explain about human design, what it is. You'll get to see a body graph. So you can hang out there and read up a little bit and learn more about it at nancyokeefecoaching.com.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy. I mean, my goodness, this is something that everybody can absolutely use. I know it was great for me, and I know it's just the tip of the iceberg. And it's just so wonderful to have that new perspective and we're all growing, we're all changing. And it's awesome when something clicks and you start moving in a direction that feels right for you. So I appreciate you being here so much. I feel like we could talk for hours.
Yes, we probably could. And I appreciate you having me on. And also, I'm so glad to hear you were able to make use of the information and make some tweaks in your life and your work and so on that helped you. That's great. Great to hear.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. I will see you here next time.